Welcome to Football Game Plan's Power Rankings. I'm Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook, and we're back with this show, and we do have a lot to get into. We've reached the midway point of the NFL season, but we're going to start in college football with a look at some of the teams that are slowly on the rise. One of the more underrated coaching jobs in college football this year is being done by San Jose State's head coach Brent Brennan, who is entering his third season at the helm for the Spartans. After going 3-22 during his first 2 years, the Spartans went 5-7 last season and are off to an impressive 2-0 start. Now things start to look different toward the back end of the 2019 season as they finished the year with a win over their rival Fresno State, and that momentum has carried over into this year as they have already knocked off both New Mexico and a very solid Air Force team. Quarterback Nick Starkel, who transferred in from Arkansas, has been exactly what they've needed in the passing game and gives them a strong chance to win the West Division this year in the Mountain West Conference. I would expect to see head coach Brent Brennan's name on many Coach of the Year ballots for the job that he's doing out west. I would also expect to see Marshall's Doc Holliday's name as well. His Thundering Herd are the most forgotten about team, undefeated team in the country, mainly due to the fact that they've had 3 games either postponed or canceled, so we haven't seen them in a minute. But make no mistakes about it, Marshall is as good as BYU, Cincinnati, or any group of 5 team that is making a claim for that 4th playoff spot in the college football playoffs or a spot in a New Year's Six bowl game. So this is a fun team to watch, and hopefully they get their just due. So are the Indiana Hoosiers, who are undefeated and ranked high, and this late into the season for the first time since 1993. It's behind an opportunistic defense and solid quarterback play from Michael Penix. The Hoosiers upset Penn State in their opener and took care of business against Rutgers last weekend. They have a huge game this week against Michigan, a team they haven't beaten since 1987 and only have beaten 9 times in 68 games. The number one team that I feel is on the rise in college football are the Texas A&M Aggies. I just like how everything is starting to come together for them out there on the football field. They look really balanced on offense, and defensively they've shown the ability to affect the pocket and get after the quarterback. Now the rest of the schedule looks favorable, and if they can continue this upward trend, they could surprise folks and earn that 4th playoff spot or a spot in one of those New Year's Six bowl games. So keep an eye on the Aggies. Like I said earlier, we're talking about the NFL and the NFL's midway point of the season. So let's look at some of the midseason awards, and we'll take a look at the Rookie of the Year and see who are the leading candidates. S-Antoine Winfield Jr. has been as good as advertised for the Buccaneers so far this season. He has definitely filled up that stat sheet for sure, but it's the impactful plays and crucial moments, just like at the end of that Giants game, for example, that makes his case a strong one for Defensive Rookie of the Year. Linebacker Patrick Queen has been a really impressive rookie for the Ravens defense this season. Queen has 2 forced fumbles, a touchdown, 2 sacks, 4 TFLs, and 48 tackles so far this year. He's garnering more and more snaps on defense, which is a sign that the game is starting to slow down for him. So look for that productivity to continue to improve. Chase Young would have been the front runner in my opinion, but missing part of the Browns game and all of the Ravens matchup has knocked his candidacy down just a bit, but he's still right up there with 2.5 sacks, 5 TFLs, and a lot of time to make up lost ground. Now, over on the offensive side, the front runner to me is quarterback Justin Herbert of the Los Angeles Chargers. The numbers look nice for the former Oregon Duck, but it's the wild plays that tend to stand out and stick in the minds of the viewers. Herbert has already become one of the better deep ball passers in the game and has kept the Chargers competitive throughout his tenure as starting quarterback. So has Joe Burrow, who leads the league in both completions and pass attempts, and who has similar numbers to that of Herbert. Now, being the number 1 overall pick, going to the Bengals, and having the success that he's having may end up pushing him over Herbert, especially since he's actually winning games. And how about some love for the offensive linemen? There were 6 offensive tackles taken in round 1 of the draft. Andrew Thomas, Mekhi Becton, Tristan Wirfs, Jedrick Wills, Austin Jackson, and Isaiah Wilson. All but Wilson have flashed, with Wirfs and Wills and Becton being the best of the group. So all 3 guys deserve mentioning here, as they've gone a long way to solidify, in some cases, the entire offensive line. What a great group of tackles that entered the league this past draft class. Now, on this week's episode of the NFL All 32 show, it's our midseason report, and we'll go into the MVP race, top coaching candidates, and much more. So be on the lookout for that Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time on the Game Plus network. Check with your cable provider for channel listings. Be sure to order your copy of the Go-Go Offense by Coach Brennan Marion on footballgameplan.com/GoGoOffense. Coach Marion goes through the ins and outs of his explosive offense, one that's tearing up the college football field and putting a lot of points on the scoreboard. Again, you can order your copy at footballgameplan.com youtube.com/GoGo Offense. Now let's get into our Week 9 power rankings for the NFL, and as always, we'll start with number 32. It's been a lonely spot for the New York Jets as the only winless team in the NFL. It has also been a fire sale almost under this regime this year, jettisoning some good players off that roster. Yet there is still hope that this team can overcome all of that and turn in a respectable finish to the season. We shall see. Now, the other team in New York, the Giants, are equally as inept, albeit for different reasons. Their defense has been a pleasant surprise this year and has kept them in virtually every game on the schedule. What has held them back, though, is turnovers by their second-year quarterback, Daniel Jones, who has the second most turnovers in his first 20 games behind Ryan Leaf. That's not what you want to hear if your general manager Dave Gettleman, as your prize QB selection, is playing a major role in a team losing games. Jones has to get better, and if he does, this team will definitely start to win some games the rest of the way. Looking at 26 through 30, and the Dallas Cowboys are having one of their worst seasons in recent memory, desperately needing to find a victory somewhere on their schedule. So does Jacksonville, who has lost 6 straight games since knocking off the Colts in Week 1. The Falcons were able to get their second win of the season by defeating the Carolina Panthers last Thursday night. The hope is that what we saw then is a sign of things to come, as the team has talent but just hadn't shown the ability to finish games. We saw that on Thursday, and we will be looking to see if that can happen again this upcoming weekend. Now, when you look at teams 21 through 25, you see a competitive group, even if it doesn't always reflect itself on the scoreboard. The Bengals are a scrappy bunch who pulled off the upset last week against Tennessee, and the Vikings upset Green Bay last week, thanks in part to Dalvin Cook going absolutely bonkers against the Packers. Cam Newton and the New England Patriots looked as if they were going to win the game or at least send it to overtime versus the Bills last week, up until Newton coughed up the football and the Bills were able to ice the game. The Patriots are a shell of themselves, their former selves, with opt-outs and injuries and the good old ineffective play, but they still have to find a way to play much better than what they are currently doing. Otherwise, they could find themselves picking in the top 10 when it's all said and done. The Philadelphia Eagles keep finding ways to win and putting a further distance between them and a very weak NFC East division. Right now, they look like the front runners to win that division outright. Denver is another young team that's fun to watch and will continue to grow and mature as the season rolls along. Don't look now, but the Miami Dolphins have won 3 straight games and sit at 4-3 on the season. They've put themselves in prime position to make a run for that 6th or 7th playoff spot in the AFC. And with the moves they made 2 weeks ago, it'll be up to the rookie Tua Tagovailoa to help get them there. Teams 11 through 15 are some of the more solid teams in the NFL who are in the thick of the playoff race. The Rams took a step back last week, losing to the Dolphins. The Bears had a chance to steal one away from New Orleans, but came up just short. And the Browns and Raiders, low-key, are the same team and will make that AFC playoff race a fun one to watch down the stretch. Indianapolis got a much-needed win last week against Detroit and looked rather impressive in doing so. They were down early and they roared back to blow out the Lions by 20 points. So let's see if that was a spark they needed to help push them through the rest of the schedule and try to secure a division title in the process. Green Bay and New Orleans are some of the better teams in the NFC, but neither has looked at the last couple of weeks. They are teetering on that thin line between a deep playoff run and an early exit. Baltimore, despite their 5-2 record, just doesn't look right for some reason. Maybe it's a good thing because last year they looked completely unbeatable, only to lose in their opening playoff game against the Titans. We'll see if the reigning MVP Lamar Jackson and his squad can get back to its explosive ways and make a late charge for that number 1 seed in the AFC playoffs, or at least build some good momentum heading into the postseason. Really good top 5 here with Tennessee, Tampa Bay, Seattle, and Kansas City, who lost that weird game to the Raiders a few weeks ago, but it's the Pittsburgh Steelers who sit atop number 1. Head coach Mike Tomlin, once again, is doing an outstanding job coaching his football team. He never gets mentioned as one of the best coaches in football, and right now, at the halfway point of the season, deserves to be the leading candidate for Coach of the Year. We'll see how his team continues to this special run that they are on the rest of the way, as they are off to one heck of a start. So that's it for this edition of Football Game Plan's Power Rankings. I'm Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Be sure to follow me on all of my social media accounts. And don't forget to check out and subscribe to the Football Game Plan Network, located at youtube.com/footballgameplan. Also subscribe on iTunes to Football Game Plan Podcast and leave us a 5-star rating.